Hello and welcome back. So let's continue from where we had left. So let me first turn on the screencast tool by pressing N. Sorry about that. Let me click first on the viewport, then I press letter N. Then I select the screencast tool and press N again, and yeah, it's in the right position. So let's continue. So now we already have details to our object. So make sure it has selected the face select and select the top part of the face. Now this is the hard part, the shaping of the plate. So you have to be patient, and let me show you how to do it. So the first thing, you have to turn on the proportional editing, as you can see. Then you can use the shift button and the middle mouse button to move your object like that at the viewport. Then you can also use the middle mouse button to rotate like that, so that you can see what you are doing. So with the proportional editing turned on, select this drop down menu and select sphere, so that you can get that shape at the bottom of the plate, and press N, or not N, but click here to remove that menu. So now let's start editing our object. So press letter G, and as you move your mouse, you'll see that the whole object is moving, and that's because the proportional size there at the top, as you can see, it's 1.0. So you need to reduce it so that you can edit the object. So you can reduce it using the scroll wheel button of your mouse. If you move it forward, you'll see that the proportional size is reducing as this circle is coming in. Remember, as I told you earlier, getting the desired shape is the tricky part and is the hard part, so you have to be patient. So as you move the scroll wheel button forward, you'll realize that the proportional size now is about 0.08. Then you can move the mouse downwards as you look for the desired shape. So play around with the scroll wheel button and the movement of your mouse. As you can see, mine have already gotten my desired shape, but it's moving sideways, so I have to lock it on the Z axis by pressing Z, so that it will be straight. So when you get your desired shape like mine here, press letter Z to lock it on the Z axis, then confirm your settings by left clicking. Now we have something that looks like a plate, so don't worry about that part. It is a tricky part, so be patient with it. It will disturb you, but always remember to turn on the proportional editing, and after finishing, like the way I've finished mine, turn it off, because you might forget to turn it off and it will mess up your editing as you move forward. So now we have something that looks like a plate, but now we want to add thickness to it. So go back to object mode by pressing tab, and now there is a panel here down here called the modifiers properties. So select it and go to select this drop down menu and select the Solidify Modifier. After selecting the Solidify Modifier, you'll see an option of thickness. Right now it's 0.01 meters, and the thickness of a real plate is usually about 3 millimeters. Yeah, so if you type 3 millimeters, it will convert it automatically to meters. So select there, wrap that by pressing backspace, then select and write 3 millimeters, 3 mm. If you press enter, it will convert it automatically to meters. So select enter, and now it will give our thickness to our plate. So don't worry about the offset, because this usually applies to the building, and the offset means the thickness will be applied on each side. Will it be on the top part, or will it be the bottom part? As you can look at the viewport, you'll see the changes, but this usually applies on the buildings, because if you apply the thickness of the building, it should not be on the inside part of the building, it should be on the outside part of a building. But that will be on my tutorials that I'll be covering of architectural visualization. So Let's continue with our plate. Now we have something like this, and now let's move it at least upwards. I want it to be, let's press the number pad 1 to get this view, the front orthographic view, and with the object selected, press letter G and lock it on the Z axis by pressing letter Z, and let's move it somewhere there. And now the next thing first we want to add is, don't forget to save. Control S. It's very important to save as you progress. So the next part that we're going to add is this object. Let me show you this part, this wooden part, and that's that's the next topic that I'll be covering on the next tutorial. I'll show you how to add this wooden part and how to make how to duplicate this object to make them two, and how to use textures to create the marble plate, and how to make an object to look like a glass so that it will be transparent and allows light to pass through. Something called transmission. Yeah. So I'll be teaching that in my next tutorial, and thank you for following up for today. Now we already have our desired shape of our plate. You can also shade smooth this object, but it's not desirable for this project because, let me show you how to shade smooth. So you just right click your mouse and shade smooth and select shade smooth. But for me, I want to see the edges of the plate, so that's not desirable for me. So to undo, I'll just press Ctrl Z to undo that selection. So let's meet in the next tutorial, and even before we finish, we can just duplicate this plate because we shall be modeling a marble plate and a glass plate, as you can see on this image. So to duplicate an object, select the object and ensure it is in object mode and press Shift D. If you press Shift D, now you have two objects. So we want it to be somewhere here, and we want it to be perpendicular to it, not upwards or downwards. So you can just bring it on the side like this by moving your mouse, then lock it on the x-axis. The x-axis is usually the red line. The green line is the y-axis. So lock it on the x-axis by pressing X, then confirm by left clicking. Now we have two objects. You can pan around by pressing Shift and middle mouse button like that to pan around, and you can also orbit around by middle mouse button by pressing it. By pressing the middle mouse button is the scroll wheel. By pressing it, you can orbit around like this, and you can also orbit around by using this gizmo. For those who don't have the middle mouse button, but it is very essential because the middle mouse button can be used to zoom in and zoom out. So let's meet in the next part of this tutorial, and I'll show you how to use textures and how to make a plate look like a glass. So thank you and have a great day.